everybody. We are now using the computer audio. Just got that alert. Happy Friday. I know I have my sunglasses during the day. Come on, if you know that song, you know that song. I wear my sunglasses at night. And if you don't, and you're very young, and I'm very jealous. Hi, guys. Well, is everybody excited for the weekend? I hope so. I can tell you, it feels so good to be back. It's so nice to be in a sketch. Again, a little schedule. I love a good schedule. I'm not gonna lie. I've always been like one of those people that when we get like our call sheets, I'm like, I love to like look and plan out my week. As crazy as that sounds, like I love to know when I'm going into work in the morning because for us it's forever changing. Anybody who's in film and TV or production of any kind knows that it is forever changing. And I remember when I was filming Huge, that series that I did for ABC Family, we would start very, very, very early on in the week, very early in the morning. I want to say we'd start at like 4 a.m. would be my call time. And then by the time we'd get to Friday for our outdoor locations, it would be, be going in at 11, maybe noon, and we'd be working all through the night. So it's really interesting filming schedules. It also has to do a lot with location. I'm excited today, though, because I get to talk to my guest who knows a lot about this stuff. She's a fantastic actress, somebody who I actually watched as a young actor myself, because she's a fellow young actor. But she was in a show that I used to watch in high school that I loved. Oh my gosh. And you all love it too. I know. Come on. Secret Life of the American Teenager on, it was ABC Family at the time. It's now Freeform. And so I can't wait to talk to Miss India Eisley today. I'm thrilled to chat with her. I've always been a really big fan of her acting. She has crafted some beautiful roles. I was just watching her demo reel, and there was some really, really beautiful stuff in there. So I'm just, sending the annual daily text message that we do in the Nikki Nights group chat, that we're just like, hey, just checking up on our guest. But I know India is on the way. We've been having a lot of fun episodes. You guys, also, this is the second season of Nikki Nights. As crazy as it is, I know we just started it like a few months ago, but it is officially the second season. You are now listening to episode 3 of season 2. This is so awesome. And I think my guest is coming on through. It says one participant, but there's 2. It says one guest. Let's see. I mean, participants. No, it's just me in here by myself. It's so funny because these Zooms, you guys, I know anybody who's working from home, I know it's all we talk about on Nikki Nights is like the Zooms and the internet. But here's a little background story for you. I love documentaries, so I was watching a documentary called Bombshell, and it was about an actress named Hedy Lamarr, who was very, very famous in the 40s from Vienna, and she created what is now known as the patent for Wi-Fi. A Hollywood actress, she was told that, well, you just kind of do your thing, and the government didn't want her plans for this new patent that she had worked on. She was an inventor, and they kept saying no, and so she went out and she raised like $1 million for a USO tour instead, but was creating these ideas and coming up with these genius things that were so far beyond her time. And now, what we use every day is because this woman thought outside the box, and she maybe went above what people said she was supposed to do. And this is what I'm saying, I find it so important to go outside of your comfort zone. I wasn't like necessarily like a pro at auditioning for musicals, but you have to just try and get out of your comfort zone. When things feel too comfortable and they come, too naturally sometimes, you gotta expand your horizons and say, I'm gonna try something new. It's like a new food. I mean, I was just talking about that while I was writing my book today. I grew up watching Julia Child and with my grandfather, and she always used to talk about the importance of like trying new things and working till you got there. And I feel like that's very much acting as well. And I think that's why chefs and actors always kind of sync up. And that's also why I've had a lot of chefs on my show. And we have some incredible guests coming up, some wonderful chefs. Um, and so I guess now is a good time to tell you that Lainey Kazan is coming up. We have Mark and Faye, the Grill Dads. Speaking of great chefs, Catherine McCord will be coming up as well from the Food Network. And I can't wait to chat with India, obviously, as she checks in a minute. I did get the sign that she is on her way. She thought we were doing it on Instagram, which is totally understandable because I was doing the show on Instagram for since it started. And then we moved it over to Anchor, and I've been having so much fun on Anchor. It's really fun. I found out on Anchor yesterday that I can receive nice messages. You can actually leave me a voice note on the Anchor app, and Diana, my publicist, sent it to me. This girl sent me the loveliest message. I'm forgetting her name now, but I think her last name was Phillips. For some reason, that's sticking in my head. And she's left me the kindest message about coming out, but then also coming back to the show. So that was really, 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 really sweet. So thank you to you who sent me that message, and I'm sending love right back. And so, but now I get to bring in India. So here we go.
Sure. Hello.
How are you?
Nice to meet you. You're frozen.
Am I? Am I still frozen?
You are. Oh, now you're not.
Okay. I know. Good. I have more
kind of, but yeah.
I have more screenshots of,
what was that?
Of these like awkward freeze frames during
like that kind of thing, like now.
Let me see if I can get.
You're frozen.
I'm gonna see. Well, now we're getting a full tour of the backyard. I'm gonna see if my connection is better inside.
I can't. You're sitting. Oh, there you are. Kind of.
Kind of. Yes, we're going inside.
Where are you?
I'm trying to see if the connection is better in my house. Hold on. We're putting a fan on so it'll die of heat exhaustion. But is that better? Is that connection better?
Yes.
Okay. So sorry.
Okay.
You're getting an awkward.
No, it's fine.
I was gonna.
Not at all. No. Not at all. It's the story of my life. I'm in the one corner of my bedroom that has Wi-Fi because I'm in Hollywood Hills, so it's a bit of a trudge.
Yes, I was just reading. You were born in California.
I was, yeah. Except my mum's English, so obviously I don't sound like I was born in downtown LA.
Right, and I was reading. Your mom is an actress, and so was your grandfather was an actor as well.
Yeah. He was on like those half-hour shows in the 50s and 60s, like different like detective shows and stuff. He was on one called Hawaiian Eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know it either before I knew my grandfather was on it. But yeah.
I remember growing up, my grandfather and I used to watch like MASH and Bonanza and his shows.
Yeah, my grandfather was older than that. His show was well before MASH.
So I guess it's been in the family. When did you start acting?
I mean, technically I started auditioning when I was around 11. Like 10 or 11. Yeah, I was pretty small. And then I didn't really book anything until I was 13, 14. Yeah.
And did you have a mentor growing up? Was there somebody that you trained under or like that?
I didn't train. I remember I did these, a friend of ours at the time knew that I was interested in acting and I loved film and whatever, but she had bought me like a course of different like children's acting classes, and I had no interest in doing them. And everyone was really sweet there, but like the note that I constantly got was like, India won't participate. And and I was like, it's okay, I'll just watch. But yeah, that was my only, it wasn't training really, it was mainly me sitting in the audience and watching kids act out scenes.
No, I didn't train either. I never took an acting class ever. Singing, yeah, I trained since I was 8, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you have an incredible voice. I was going to say that, like, I was really thrilled when you asked me to do this because I love your work.
oh
So.
my gosh, thank you. Well, I love your work. Can I just tell you that,
Thank you.
well, as you know, as we were doing Hairspray, because you were on a show, I think that came out right after we finished Hairspray, that I was massively obsessed with, like severe obsession.
Really? Yeah, a lot of people were, I'm finding. Yeah, and that's why they're even more confused why I sound the way I sound, because I was on the show for so long. And whenever I did, yeah, 5 years. Yeah, I was about 18, 19 when I left the show.
That's a nice run.
Yeah, I mean, none of us really had, I think, because I've only kept in touch with 2 of the actors from it, Mark Derwin, who played my father, and Darren Kagasoff, who played Ricky. But I know that like Shailene had spoken about it. I saw recently that she'd spoken about being on the show, and so she kind of told everyone what it was really like. None of us were really that happy on the show. But you know, I'm grateful for that it was my first job, and you know, it was kind of my foot in the door. So
I've had those experiences where I've had those jobs that like I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to get to set every day, and it's like the greatest thing.
those are, yeah, and it's so rare when that happens.
Yes.
And then the rest of them, it's kind of the punching the clock feeling.
I've had only really one like that, and it was like, yeah, I was like, oh, you know. But other than that, but it is kind of challenging sometimes because you want to get up and run to set.
Yeah, it's I mean, I love those jobs. So you know, when you get done with like an 18, 19-hour day and you can just keep going, and you know, it's like they're like, do you mind having a 2-hour turnaround? And you're like, nope. I'll be there. And it's very, in my case, it's been very rare, but just so lovely when that happens.
It is. I found when I was on Ugly Betty, they said to me, we don't like to ask this often, but can we push your call? And I was like, please. So excited to come in 3 hours early.
Wonderful.
But I was looking at, can we just talk about Underworld? Oh my God.
Yeah.
How fun is that? That looks like.
It was interesting. I mean, I loved, you know, it was my first, I was 16 when I did it. I just turned 16, and it was my first time doing like wire work and, you know, flying and doing all of that. And the prosthetics were really, really uncomfortable. And yeah, I mean, the experience was interesting. It wasn't entirely positive, but I had fun, you know, when I could, and with stunts part of it. And I loved working with Stephen Ray and Charles Dance. Charles Dance from Game of Thrones, and he's like the tall English actor who's very regal and wonderful and hysterical. Stephen Ray is this wonderful Irish actor, and he played the baddie in it, basically. He was the guy who ended up turning into like a full-on werewolf and attacking me. He was lovely. Both of them were just such sweethearts.
I love that. I love that when you like play those scarier roles and then the people are just so sweet.
Yeah. That's normally how it is too. I mean, because I've noticed, I mean, I'm not saying like I'm abnormally sweet or anything, but I've noticed that like, because a lot of the roles that I've played are like kind of mentally ill people, And so a few of the directors meetings that I've had, because I haven't done a lot of interviews, and
India, don't feel bad. I play. What I play is that sheerly just blissful, happy,
yeah,
24/7, and trust me, I know it gets exhausting.
just show up and be in like the worst mood possible.
I think one day I'm
like,
just gonna have to try that on for size.
They're like, ooh. Yeah, it happens though.
But I can tell you though, what I was watching your reel, and you've really built a lot of beautiful characters. I was also watching Look Away, and I was taken away because I was really impressed. Like the dimensions there between, I was blown away. Can you just like, when did you do that movie?
I did that at the end of 2016. I really loved playing those roles. It really just was a special experience filming it. I had wanted, and also in that period of time, I was watching a lot of Penny Dreadful, and so I was like, I'm a massive Evergreen fan, and so I was watching all of those episodes, and I just, leading up to that job, before I'd even auditioned, I was like, God, I'd love a role where I'm just like, it's just up, down, up, down, up, down, and then the audition came in for that, and I was just elated, and then I was on another job when I got the call that I had booked it, and I was thrilled. Yeah, so that was a blast. I loved filming that.
Well, I was just watching the trailer, and there's I was on your IMDb. I mean, come on. I love a good IMDb. Want to hear a ridiculous IMDb story?
Sure.
So when I started Hairspray, or was in, got the role, my mom found out about IMDb. She had no idea there was such a place, an internet movie database. So,
yeah. Parents on IMDb.
Down the rabbit hole she went.
Oh yeah.
And I'll never forget, a publicist from New Line Cinema, who I have been working with, called me and said, I think your mom is leaving comments on your IMDb. I said, what? I said, no. Like, I said, my mom doesn't really use the internet. Like, she's not that, like, versed in it. She said,
well, so you thought.
She said, no. It's literally saying Karen Blonsky. My mom didn't realize that because what happened was somebody told her that there was a comment on there. She went on and, let me go defend my daughter. And she didn't realize that it said Karen Blonsky.
Oh, yeah, my father is, I don't know why, ever since I started working, he's obsessed with IMDb. He'll kill me for saying it. Well, he won't know that I'm saying this. But no, it's like an unstoppable rebel force of parental obsession on IMDb, where it's like, you haven't changed that picture in a while, and it's like, Dad, I haven't been on my IMDb in like years. Like, I actively avoided going on it. He's like, you should really change that picture, and it's like, all right, Dad. Maybe I'll just give you the passwords and let you do it. It's just, yeah. And then my mom.
Weird. How do you feel when people? Because I know how I feel when I'm either talking to somebody new or a friend, in my life, and they're like, "Oh, well, I Googled you," and I'm like, "Oh, no. I mean,
Honestly, there is a certain amount of cringe that happens when people say that, even though they normally mean it in a nice way, but I mean, hopefully, but there's no stopping it. I mean, everyone's everywhere now, and there's mystique anymore at all. I mean, look at us, like we're at home right now talking, and it's like, I suppose technology is really, without going too far into this rabbit hole, is technology is useful in the fact that so many things are brought to the forefront, and just a minute, I lost you. There we go. Sorry, I have low battery. It shows my prowess with tech. The thing with technology is that it does bring a lot of important issues to the forefront, and it gives kind of a pedestal for people to be able to bring important issues to light, and stand up for people who don't have that advantage. But it also, it takes away a lot of the charm of what we do for a living, I think. You know, because it's like, oh, I know what they ate for breakfast that day that they shot that scene. It's like, without, you know, because I hate sounding pessimistic, but that's why I kind of never, because I've gotten a lot of people on Instagram being like, why don't you do a live? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you post more? Why don't you do this? Or you don't take selfies well, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, I'll take less then. And, but, you know, it's a lot of it is because it's a mix of laziness, but also just not really liking putting that kind of stuff out there, because, like, it sounds like a cliche, but most creative people were introverts normally. And that's the whole reason we enjoy doing what we do, is telling a story that's not ours. And yeah, and so it kind of goes against the initial draw of what we do for a living, I think.
Yes, I can.
How was that for a long-winded rant?
No, I agree with you, because no, I look at, you know, the mystique of actresses back in the day of the 50s, when there wasn't social media and you didn't know as much about their lives, and they were able to kind of go about their lives. And but as you say, people now want to know everything that we eat, drink, do. And I was talking to Jerry Gilpin the other day about it, and I said, it's so important to keep things for yourself, and she agreed with me.
And she's such a lovely person. I didn't know you knew her.
She was on her episode.
I've met her a few times, but she's just a sweetheart. Oh, really? I was kind of off my phone yesterday, but she's lovely. Oh, I'm gonna have to watch. Oh.
Do you ever just put down your phone for a couple of days and just unplug?
Yeah, I mean, I have to be. Well, for social media, I do that. I don't, you know, if I don't have a reason to be on there, I tend to, you know, not really go on it. But you know, I have to have my phone on for like emails and for work stuff in case like in calls, because knowing me, it's like the one time I'll be like, I'm not going to bother going on. I'll have like 15 missed calls from an agent or something.
Yeah.
So
I know that game.
Yeah. And yeah, but normally I just tend to stay away from it unless I absolutely have to do it.
Yeah, I've been off social media now for about a month and a half.
Really?
Yes, and it's been really interesting. I just re-downloaded TikTok so that I could do a TikTok, but I'm not clicking anymore. It's so weird. My hands, I don't have arthritis as bad as I used to.
Oh, wow. But that, hey, you know, it's just, you know, it's proof that it's gone too far, I think.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah. You know, just going back to acting, what are a few dream roles for you? Where would you love to?
Dream roles. I mean, I honestly, it's hard to even answer that, because like I'm, you know what I mean? It's like when you have the material that you respond to that has a director that you really admire, and you know, it can almost become a dream role without you even realizing it. I think, like, you don't know it until it's in front of you. But there are a few roles that have like really inspired me. Like Sally Field and Sybil was probably the first time that I watched something and I was just floored, and I just watched it over and over again. And I was like 8, so but that performance in particular just really just hit a nerve. And any Vivian Leigh performance, I mean, you know what I mean? There are so many just inspiring performances that if I could even do an 1/8 of that kind of role, you know, whatever that role may be. I don't know if I'm answering this well, but
oh, come on.
Yeah.
You are. And I can tell you though, when you said at 8 years old, I had a very similar experience at 7. I saw a movie I probably shouldn't have at 7.
Which one?
Puff and Stuff.
I have not seen it.
It's okay. The main actor was Jack Wilde. He was an English.
Oh yeah.
Played,
oh yeah, of course, Jack Wilde. Yeah. Yeah. And I had a crush on him. when I was little. But I also had a crush on Oliver Reed, though, so it was a weird mix. I don't know if it was the top hats on both of them or something. I don't know.
It might.
Yeah. I mean, Oliver Reed was just fucking babe. Anyway, I digress. I interrupted. I stole your story.
It's always easy to go down another rabbit hole when it comes to Hollywood crushes. I mean, that's...
Oliver Reed was the main one. Oliver Reed and Bob Dylan for me.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Of course. Mine was Uncle Jesse. John Stamos.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's like a normal one. Like mine is like, oh yeah, the drunkard who beat the prostitute to death. It's like, me! It's like, oh, he's always
mine from Uncle Jesse to Woody Harrelson very quickly.
But which Woody Harrelson? Cheers Woody Harrelson or the other Woody Harrelson?
Or some Will and Grace Woody Harrelson.
Okay.
In high school. Yeah, a big Will and Grace.
That's still relatively, like, it's not toxic. You know?
Right.
So Jack Wilde,
yeah,
I hijacked the story.
But Jack was adorable. Thank you for leading me back to the promised land with that one. Thank you. I loved Jack, and this movie was about Jack, and he had a talking flute in his pocket, and it was basic. Yes, it was absolutely ridiculous. There were so many crazy characters, but I saw there was a lot of witches in it, and a witch played by Mama Cass Elliot.
Really? God, I've got to see this film. I'm a big music buff, so like, surprised I've not heard of it. I'm just plugging my phone in.
She sings a song called "Different" in it, and it's all about like celebrating, like being different. And when I heard this song and I heard the lyrics and I heard her sing it and I saw her, I finally saw somebody who looked like me kind of on TV, and that that was the impression made on my mind at 7. So I completely understand what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, she like yourself, she was such a powerhouse. I mean, her whole energy was just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and who was somebody, you know, it's always interesting to ask this question because I've gotten to meet the one person that I absolutely idolized when it came to musical theater.
Who was it?
Angela Lansbury.
Oh, yeah, my mum's worked with her. Because she played my mum's mother in Death on the Nile. And she said she was such a wonderful person and really sweet. And I think then my mum also did a Murder, She Wrote. Like 20 years after that.
Now that is
yeah, I didn't get to meet her, unfortunately, because Bedknobs and Broomsticks was a film that I really loved as a kid. Yes. And not many people know it anymore, but I loved that, so that's awesome. Where did you meet her?
I met her at the Drama Desk Awards. I was with my friend who, he was about 6'5", my friend Matt, and I'm 4'10", so, you know, I'm all the way down here. And all of a sudden I hear, "Oh my God." And I'm like, what? You can't see it. He's like, you can't see who's coming. I said, no, I can't. Can you tell me, please?
Oh.
And he said, it's your idol. It's Angela Lansbury. And I was like, and she walked up to me. She was walking down the aisle and she walked up to me and she said hello. And she was like, I love your movie. And I was like, oh my God, you can't possibly know who I am. No, this isn't possible.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
I played Mrs. Lovett in high school. And
Did you?
I did.
Oh, I bet you that would have been awesome.
I was
like, no, really, like, because your whole vibe playing that character would just be really, really awesome.
Can I tell you, out of every single character I've ever played in my life, that was the most fun I've ever had.
I mean, it's just such like that's an awesome, because I love that musical. Yeah.
If I could play anybody on Broadway, I think it would be Mrs. Lovett. Have you ever thought about doing Broadway?
I don't think I have the voice for it. I mean, because I can sing, but not like that. Like I don't have your kind of voice, which is, I mean, I would probably have to train for years to even be remotely presentable. But I don't think so. I mean, of course, there's a part of me that would love to be in a musical, that I would love to do that, because you know, watching things like Oliver and West Side Story, and even Chicago, actually, you know, just and Cabaret, and there's a draw to it. And I've been on stage before, but for dancing, because I started out in ballet, and I loved the rush of being on stage. So it would be interesting to incorporate, you know, acting with it.
I mean, I started ballet when I was young. It didn't last,
Really?
no, it lasted, I want to say, maybe a year. I was India.
Mm.
I was what my mother used to call a bull at a china shop. She used to say, "Oh my gosh, the rate that you knock things over is alarming." I mean, I was a very klutzy kid, so the fact that somehow some movement got made in Hairspray, I don't. But
You were great. So, but also ballet's a certain kind of mindset of, you know, because I also loved like tap until, because I loved tap until I saw these two. They were two brothers, and they were on the Third Street Promenade, and I was obsessed with tap at this point. But I remember we went there just as like a family outing or whatever, and they were just so badass. Like they had like this like block of wood that they just plopped down, and they were self-taught. They had holes in their shoes, and they just like jumped on the wood, and they just started like ripping away on this tap routine that was just all spur of the moment and like not rehearsed. And I was like, okay, I quit. Like if I'm never going to be like them and I don't have that innate ability, then fuck it, I'm not gonna, excuse me, but like I'm not I don't, yeah, it was that completely shut off any desire to tap anymore. My ego just was like, nope, you're not doing that again.
I found myself, I'll tell you an interesting story. I found myself when I was younger. I was that girl in town that was like asked to, you know, if there was like a Veterans Day parade or Memorial Day parade or something was happening at the church and they needed somebody to sing, I was there. So one time I was singing the national anthem, and they said, it was for a big ice skating event, and they said, well, you'll never guess who's coming on to perform after you, and if would you mind staying on stage and just like singing some backgrounds while he performed? And I was like, okay, who? And they said, Savion Glover. I was like, what?
Oh my.
Yeah. Him and his mom is an incredible singer, and she was there.
Really?
So her and I sang together, and he tapped, and I think I was 14. I don't even know what. And then that night, but it goes back to me being klutzy, because you know what happened that night?
Mm-mm.
I was wearing my new shoes that I got for 8th grade that I thought I was all cool in, the wedges. I performed, yeah, you see where we're going. I performed, I'm on a high. I went to the local pizza shop in my hometown. There was a brick missing out of the sidewalk.
Oh no. Yeah, I've been there. I'm quite accident prone, so I can relate.
So that kicked me off. That kicked me off to my year straight of being in a cast for freshman year of high school.
Like mean, it wasn't awkward already.
Right. And do you want to hear the worst thing that happened the day before freshman year? This is worse than the cast, I think. I went and I got my eyebrows waxed. And it was,
yeah.
The person was new. And
did they tell you that after or before?
It was after.
Oh, so you're like, is it supposed to be this way? Well, like, I don't know.
I had taken a risk because it wasn't the normal person who did it, and I put my faith in her. And that was the one time that putting my faith in someone didn't really work out. And I went to high school the next day crying.
Oh God.
So anybody, if you take nothing away from this, anybody who's watching this podcast, don't go get yourself waxed before the first day of high school. It's not worth it.
No, I mean, or just be like me and just don't do anything like that. I'm like the laziest person with any of it. Yeah. So you can take either route.
I know. Well, honestly, high school for me was an adventure. Did you do public school or homeschooling with acting?
No, I was predominantly homeschooled. I never got to high school, but the last, because I stayed in school until 8th grade, but it was very patchy because it would be like, I would go to school for like 3 weeks and then my mom would get a job for a few months in a different country and I'd go with her. And so school it wasn't really like a, a consistent thing for me. And I'm not like, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was a really poor student. Like I was
I
really
wasn't a great
good.
student at all by any means.
Like because it's not that I didn't understand a lot of it, but the teachers would get very, very irritated with me because I just didn't apply myself at all. And
When I
yeah,
started at a public school and there was like 900 kids and I was just like, this is too much. I could be singing and acting. And
yeah,
that's just where my mind went. And then I transferred over to a place called the Village School, which was an alternative school. Only 50 kids, 8 kids to a class. And that's where I got my footing. But high school,
yeah.
it's funny, as actors, I feel like we play more high school roles than anything, especially.
I mean, I'm going to be 27 soon, and I'm still playing like 16, 16, 17. So it's interesting, and also because thank God I didn't go to a high school. I would have gotten the crap beaten out of me, because I was bullied really badly whenever I did. With the few stints that I was in school, I didn't really relate to other people my age because I preferred being on set. I preferred being around adults and you know people that weren't just lashing out because they didn't understand things. um yeah, so high school, I'm really, really happy because I got the show when I was 13, 14. So I was at that age when I would have been transferring into being a freshman, and it would not have gone well for me at all.
Yeah. High school for me, I had the like high school experience, but not the true to form one because I was very involved in theater and I was just
Yeah,
going 24/7. But then I found myself getting hairspray and that kind of.
yeah. How old were you when you got Hairspray?
I was 17, so it was
Oh wow.
my career kind of started like mid-teens, like late teens. So it was like that weird age of like you're kind of an adult, but you're not. And
Yeah.
it was interesting. But now here I am, about to hit 32 in November.
You're still really like much younger than that. So
Well, thank you. I've always decided, I'm like, you know what? I've had friends in the business who never tell their age. And I'm like, look, I will tell you
what
the
is the
because
point?
what's the point? You're going to find out anyway. Google. I mean,
Yeah. Because I had a former manager of mine, and this was kind of the last conversation I had with him, because I've never really, again, because I've primarily played younger roles, because I have this like abnormally young looking baby face that just doesn't fucking change. Like, I
but
don't know
that's a
why.
blessing. Take it all the
It is.
way.
It is. Yeah, I'm liking it more that I'm older, but when you're 17 and people think you're 10, it's a bit like it's a bit frustrating.
Oh, let me tell you a quick story about looking really.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I was a sophomore in high school. I went to bring my mom lunch around the corner. She worked at an elementary school. And I brought her lunch, and the fire alarm went off. And it was a fire drill. And the assistant principal walked out, and she looked at me, and I was like, well, I didn't know where to go because now I'm in a random school. She's
Yeah.
like, she looked at me, she said, young lady, get in line with the rest of the students. I said, no, I don't have school here. She said, no back talking, get in line. She put me in line with the fourth graders. My mom
Oh,
walked out. My mom walked out and she goes, Nikki, what are you doing there? I said, I didn't want to be rude. She went up to her. She said, this is my daughter. She's a sophomore in high school. She's not in Miss Zuckerman's fifth grade class. So, but I think now that I'm 32, I would love to be put back in line.
Yeah, it's like, and also like you said, everyone's going to find out. But I had this former manager that the last conversation I had with him, he said, he was like, God, it was because there was an audition for this like 16-year-old character, and we were waiting to hear feedback, and the project ended up getting scrapped anyway. But anyway, he said, God, it's such a shame that your age is on IMDb. And this was when I'm the Night was airing, and I had just played a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
I was like, the lack of it didn't really bother me, but it was just the lack of caring to just like blurt that out. It was just kind of like, dude, like, just bugger off. Like, seriously, like if that's what you think of our, work partnership, seriously, this not worth it.
Yeah, it's not. And I just recently, I can tell you now, I've just started to find, I feel very confident in my team. It took me a long time to get the managers that, because I've had a couple of nightmare stories myself. So,
Yeah,
learn.
it's really, yeah, I mean, because I've been with my agents since I was 13, so like 14 years now. And I love them. And then the manager, it's a different ball game, really. I mean, it's
business is a different ball game, my friend.
Yeah. It's like some, it's like, I think some actors work well with managers, and then others just do just fine without them. It's really a preference thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, where can we keep up with you next? What's going on in Eisley land?
I did a film called The Doherty Gang. It makes no sense with my accent. It's The Doherty Gang. And it's based on a true story of these three siblings who robbed a bank. The three of them were kind of they were kind of like bad kids. They were kind of in and out of prison, and they didn't have a good childhood. And it was with Emery Cohen and Sam Strike, and that was a blast to film. And I don't know when it's going to be released. They're still putting final touches on it, and you know how it is. And it's like 5 years later, and they're like, "Hey, guess what? We got a distribution."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, awesome!" I don't remember making the movie now.
I know.
But yeah, so that it was coming up at some point. I have no idea when. I hope people, I hope people get to see it, because it's an incredible story, and was a really interesting work experience. And then I've just wrapped. I can't believe it's August already, because January I wrapped before the pandemic. I wrapped a thing with Michelle Monaghan and Casey Affleck and Sam Claflin called Every Breath You Take.
Oh my god!
And it's kind of it's kind of a thriller-esque thing.
That cast list just took my breath away. Did you see that? I was like,
yeah, they were all wonderful to work with.
Well, I'm sure you're wonderful to work with, and I hope I get to find out one day, because
I hope I get to work with you. Maybe it'll be a musical, and you'll get to console me while I'm having a nervous breakdown.
I would love to be there. I would not have a nervous breakdown, but if it happens, I will help you through it. I'll help you through it.
Guaranteed.
Well, thank you so much. You are just so lovely. I can tell you that when we started conversing about doing this, I was like, I texted my publicist. She's literally the loveliest person. She's so kind.
Oh,
just thank you for projecting that light out into the world, because it's really powerful. It is.
Thank you. Taking social media by storm.
Get it, girl. I'm right
there. I mean, thank you so much for saying that and for asking me to do this, because I genuinely a fan of your work, and you're just you're really such a light, and it shows in every performance you've done. It really, it sounds hokey, but the camera doesn't lie. Like, you can tell when someone's a good human being, and and when they're not. And and really you just are such a positive energy, and the world needs more of it. And I was really and also I don't get asked to do these kinds of things anyway, so so I was really just
I love
flattered.
your story, and I find it, everything that from family in the business, but also just creating your own path and being just a fierce, independent actress. I just commend you, and I thank you for the kind things you've said about me, and I really do hope to work with you someday. I definitely want that.
I hope so too. I mean, once this god awful pandemic, people need to stop paying attention and stop. I have to just throw this in there. It's like really frustrating that you see, especially in the UK, seeing pictures of people at restaurants with no masks on, and outside at pubs with no masks on, and smoking their cigarettes and having a blast, and that's all well and good, but not now.
Yeah.
Like we especially people like us, we go back to work and have it be normal and not die. Like, we want to be able to film scenes and not be terrified of the other actor. So,
and it's a very real fear. So thank you for saying that, because the more we just stay in and stay safe or take all precautions, the quicker this will all up, no pun intended.
Exactly. Like, I'm not recommending this because a lot of people mentally wouldn't do well with it, but I haven't left the house. I'm not, forgive me for saying that, but like, I'm not shitting you. I haven't left the house since March 10th. If, I'm not expecting other people to take it to that extreme, but like, my mom's immune compromised, and I kind of went full on, like, okay, I'm not going to come into contact with anyone, and I'm just going to be as safe as I possibly can, and had groceries delivered. And I know that a lot of people can't do that, and essential workers can't do that, but it's like, just be as mindful as you possibly can be. I know it's not fun for any of us, but it's going to be even less fun if we have to continue doing this for years. Like, I don't understand why a mask became, like, not to get too political, but I don't understand how like not wearing a mask has become a political statement. It's like, okay, do you want to die? Like, it's like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're not looking after yourself either. You're not making a point, and you're not looking after
yourself. We can't make political statements if we're not alive to make them.
Exactly. So if we want to continue to argue these points that mean nothing anyway, but like, if we want to continue arguing, we have to be alive for it. So let's just put them on the back burner and focus on, not dying.
Right. Well,
and not doctors and nurses.
I can't agree with you more, and I thank you for saying it, because it's true. It's very, very
true.
Yeah,
it's not wrong.
And we just hope that people, open their ears and listen and do their part. Because if that's the thing, if we all just do our part, then it's like anything in life. If we do our part, we'll all
exactly do what you can, and if you, it's the same thing as like when you're a kid, and if you're told, if you see someone who needs help them, or if someone doesn't have something and you happen to have that, then share it, or in this case with the virus, don't share it. But terrible joke, but
no, it's true. It's like,
it's too early to be clever.
No, it's never too early.
But yeah, it's I'm hardly like the most intelligent person around. It's not confusing. Just, if you have to go out, be mindful. If you don't have to go out, don't. Period. End of story. I don't know why it's confusing so many people. Anyway, I could go on and on about that. Even more than I already have.
I know, I completely agree with you, and it's just about, it's about I think the ultimate act of humanity is doing what's right for yourself, but also what's right for the other person. And if that's masking up, sanitizer, get out there and sanitize away, please.
Yeah. It's Well, it'll pass at some point. It will. I mean, it's not gonna, magically disappear like some people have said. But but
we'll get there one day at a time.
but it'll happen. It'll happen. But
and until
yeah.
then, you know what I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna go watch an India Eisley movie. I'm not kidding.
Oh, well, I'll put on Hairspray. I'll put on one of your films.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
I'll just blast the soundtrack over again.
Oh my gosh. Can I tell you, my neighbors hate me, for sure. Because when I do my cameos outside, I do cameos and I sing the Hairspray songs in them, and I'm pretty sure my neighbors know the words just as well as I do.
They should start singing along. That would be hysterical. They hop over the fence.
I might have to make a TikTok with all of them now.
All socially distanced. Just all in a chorus line behind you.
I can see it now. I adore you, and thank you so much.
Likewise.
For everything.
No, thank you so much for having me, and if people have actually listened this long to me, go on and on. But really, thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you, and I will see you soon.
See you soon, and hope to talk soon.
Yes, be well.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh, how adorable is she? Oh my, I have literally tears in my eyes because I can't tell you how many times I've tried to leave a meeting and I've done the same thing, and I'm like, oh, and I'll start getting done, putting my hair up, and then I'm like, oh no, I'm still in the meeting. Bye. India, thank you so much. You really, I have to tell you that when I DM'd India, the response that I got was so warm and lovely, and it was honestly just followed up by the most charming interview I think I've had. She's so lovely, and I meant every word I said about her acting. I'm just such a huge fan of her style and her personal craft that she takes with her roles. So thank you, India. And she's right. Please, everybody, please go put a mask on. Like I said, if we want to debate and if we want to, be here and whatever, just put a mask on so that we can debate politics and we can be here to actually celebrate in the future with each other. So, India, I look forward to in the future, hopefully filming a movie with you and celebrating with you. And until then, guys, put a mask on, hand sanitize, and know that India and I are sending you all love, and thank you, India, again. See you guys, well, after the weekend. Enjoy. Have a great weekend.